Welcome to the AI Ireland podcast, your window into the world of AI innovation on the island of Ireland. Join us as we explore how AI is harnessed to tackle both business and societal challenges, revealing the cutting-edge solutions emerging from this vibrant AI community. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates and insights in the world of AI. Hello everyone, it's Mark Kelly here. I hope you're doing really very well. And we are speaking to Director of Engineering, Data and AI, Ashley Woods. And he works for a company called Datalex. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about AI in the travel sector and some of the applications they're actually using themselves to create a better employee experience and also from the customer experience. You may have heard him or seen him at a presentation in Amazon over the summer where he was sharing some really interesting use cases. And we'll be talking a little bit about that and some of the applications of it too. Ashley, thanks very much for joining us on the podcast today.
No worries. Thanks, Mark. Glad to be here.
So before we kind of jump into the work at Datalex, how did you get into the whole world of engineering and data?
So somewhat of mixed journey, I suppose. Started off doing more process management, ITIL, ITSM type activities. Got into project management and then really just became more and more interested in what's happening on the tech side of things, looking at, how can we make things better? And that sort of naturally just progressed into, well, we need to look at the data. And then once you've got the data, what else can we do with it? We can start putting it through AI. And I just found it really interesting. So
tell us a little bit about Datalex and your role at Datalex.
At Datalex, we provide e-commerce solutions for airlines. So airlines typically have a lot of different systems that they operate to get us sat on planes and flying around the world. What we do is give airlines a lot more control over some of those systems, basically to provide a better customer experience. So when we go online to book flights, we've got access to better ancillaries, better pricing, and essentially a smoother, booking journey. So yeah, it's not necessarily keeping the planes in the sky, but it's from a everyday customer perspective, it's a really important role to play.
So if anybody maybe is using some like Aer Lingus, for example, chances are they're going to be booking at seat or maybe using a rental car through the kind of the software that you actually instill and power within those kind of engines.
Yeah, definitely. So while the experience will be quite unique depending on which airline you fly with, you'll have obviously the different skin of the UI and whatnot. Behind the scenes, often a lot of our APIs are being used to hook into inventory management systems, manage bookings, bundle different ancillaries together, all to provide that back through to customers when they're booking.
So from a kind of employee experience and a customer experience, you've been able to kind of utilize some services like from AWS, such as Code Whisperer, Amazon Q, and Amazon Bedrock. Now, I've seen them from afar, seen some kind of a demo, and it did look pretty slick. What's it been like to be able to leverage some of them and some of the opportunities you've been able to apply them to?
Yeah, so we're an AWS partner, which gives us a lot of access to different trends that are happening within the industry and access to some of these tools to just try and explore them a little bit more and try and adapt to some of the areas that we're struggling with. And to be honest, that's been great. I mean, one of the benefits of going with a provider like AWS is, they provide tools such as Bedrock, Q, and you have a real range of maybe some tools where you can build it yourself and really customize the sort of output that you're looking for. So we've used Bedrock, for example, to interact with foundational models and kind of apply them to some more niche use cases. But then even some of the services that have come out around Amazon Q Developer, and what was Code Whisperer, it's really just a switch on. You can start getting people to use that. So one of the most recent examples was using Q Developer within the IDE for developers. So rather than having to switch through different windows all the time, interrupt the flow, essentially, everything just all appears in that single IDE, and it just gives people a much better experience.
Yeah, I think the Amazon AWS CEO was in the news quite recently because he talked about the impact AI has had on their code. I think he said something like 4,500 years saved in development from literally applying it and working with it day to day. So you've got that augmented experience where programmers and your engineers are now utilizing the AI to either for code review or actually cutting the code and then having that kind of human in the loop. So if you think about the kind of practical applications of choosing problems to work on that either improve the employee experience or the customer experience, can you kind of talk me through that and what are the impacts been?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, generally, when we approach a challenge like this, you split the work into different categories. So, there's generally for any role, but we'll talk about developers, there tends to be some boilerplate work, some sort of mundane tasks that you're doing day in, day out that really don't require a lot of thinking. It's just, you need to put in some code to get yourself moving. Those sorts of things are where AI has been really helpful. So what we try and do is use some of these tools to accelerate those more mundane activities that generally people don't like to do anyway, and then allow people to focus on some of those more intellectually challenging tasks and maybe even spend more of their day thinking about how to approach problems and conceptualizing solutions rather than what was being done previously, which was spending more time just manually writing things into IDEs. When you think about it from that perspective, you're accelerating the work, but you're also making it more rewarding and interesting for the team.
Yeah, people get focus on efficiencies, but really the quality of the work the team can focus on is so empowering because what we find is people want to do their best work. But like everything, if they're caught in the kind of the weeds of things that don't feel meaningful but have to be done, there's the element of, well, your best self isn't coming to work each day. So that kind of quality aspect is really, really wonderful and kind of allows you to be a little bit more creative and a little bit more engaged and that kind of a better kind of team member. So there was the kind of the revenue management piece that got kind of impacted, and you've been able to kind of work on that kind of pricing AI side of it, using different types of AI models that have been able to empower airlines to build competitive advantage. So this was kind of differentiating through data in real time and at scale. Can you go into a little bit more about what that is for our listeners?
Yeah, definitely. So this is one of our products that we have, Pricing AI, which is essentially a dynamic pricing solution for airlines. One of the challenges that airlines face is they'll have a revenue management team. That team needs to be across so many details and selecting the most appropriate pricing strategies across their network. For some, that might not be as big a challenge as others, but what we do with this product is we learn from the airline's data. So essentially, almost increasing the size of the revenue management teams. So when you think about setting prices, you may set static prices for a certain period. Things will change. You'll need to adapt those prices to the current market. What this does is it allows the AI models that we have trained on airlines data to actually dynamically adjust those prices in real time. So rather than having to wait for a human to be available to push those changes into the system, you've got this almost like an extension of the team going in, making those tweaks in real time. So you can really adapt to the demand that's happening within the customer's market.
That's from the customer's perspective, which is brilliant. Talk to me about the employee perspective, about how you've been able to use some of these models to make things a little bit more accessible for employees, starting to try to find knowledge that maybe could be tacit for other people that are kind of locked it in their brain. Tell us a little bit how you've been able to actually help out the team.
When we talk about sort of knowledge retrieval and improving, particularly the experience for newer employees, we tend to get more into the space of the more sort of generative AI, retrieval augmented generation, RAG models. What we've done there is we've worked with AWS to implement almost like a chatbot system. So we have a web page within the organization. People can go to that. It's almost like a chat GPT, but based on our own data. And so as part of that, that in the back end goes through and crawls all the different information sources that typically a new starter would have to go through and figure out where different bits of information live. So we've got information in Confluence, SharePoint, Jira, all these different bits and pieces that unless you know your way around, it can be quite challenging to navigate at first. So users can go to this portal, ask questions, it will send them back the information that they're looking for, but also give them references then to say this is where the information is stored if you want to look at it further.
What I really love about that is people could underestimate the time it takes to onboard employees to get to understand these different systems, learn how to use them, and it can be really, really overwhelming just to kind of figure that out. From a simplicity perspective, I'm guessing you can just take like a 100-page document of the Datalex onboard guide for data scientists, upload it, and then you'd have the most patient trainer that'll be able to answer these frequently asked questions, or if you want to find out anything about pension, paternity leave, annual leave, or disciplinary procedure, you'll be able to actually use that.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, it's almost like having an expert sitting there waiting for you to come to the counter and ask you questions, which is what we think is great about it. When we rolled it out, some of the people that were using it initially, they actually said, oh, this is great. It's like I'm talking to a senior engineer who can help me with these questions.
And that's the great thing, because it's speaking in the natural language. You're using your voice and phrases to get to do that. And it's retrieving your data in time. So less the worry of, verification or, working off websites that aren't relevant to you. You've got your proprietary information too. It's really interesting because we're starting to see the multi-agents now as well, where agents can actually do different tasks for you along the different types of work within the business, and they can be allocated that. So you've got these multi-agents working off each other too. From the future, where do you kind of see travel going and some of the applications of AI in the near future?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, we've spoken a little bit about the pricing AI product that we have. I see that as evolving. So at the moment, we really focus on optimizing the price for air, so seats, and that's proven to have a revenue uplift for customers, which is great. I see that as expanding to take in new data sources. So when you look at things like competitor data and other data from events and different things that are happening around the world that influence pricing. We also then look at ancillaries and making sure that people have access to suitably priced ancillaries. So there's sort of a range of different ways that not only helps the airlines, but also then their customers get the best deals. In terms of some of the internal initiatives and where we see that going, I mean, it really is a case of where do you want to take it? And I think that's what's great about some of the AWS products is if you have an idea, you can really rapidly prototype something, see if it works, and then either throw it away or continue it. So we talk about developers, but not only developers, product managers, HR, business partners, product owners, they all perform roles within the software lifecycle. So really looking at how can we further enhance some of the work that they're doing.
I really like that because you get out of the strategy loop and then you get into strategy execution, minimal viable product, get the feedback, kind of move on, because there's nothing worse than being really diligent and delivering on a project that doesn't have an impact, or you kind of got to wouldn't it be cool snare too. So it's good advice. Ashley Woods, Director of Engineering, Data and AI at Datalex. Thank you very much for your time today.
No worries. Thanks, Mark.
On the 26th of November, join us for the 6th Annual AI Awards at the Marco Hotel in Dublin. This year's event promises to be our largest and most impressive yet, with over 300 community members in attendance and over 48 applications of AI in action. This truly is an incredible world-class event, and we are inviting you to this event. Experience the excitement live, because we're going to be capturing this with a world-class film crew, and it's going to be streamed online. However, if you want to join us in person, book your table now, because opportunities are limited. If you're interested in sponsoring this year's awards, please contact me at Mark@AI Awards for more information and see the best in class of AI applications on the island of Ireland.